talk about. All gas, no break. Welcome to the show. Just Chris and Mo. Right now, Justin once again has flown off into the darkness. I should probably turn on my light before we start recording, but here we go. Uh, Justin is into the darkness once again. No one knows where he is. As per usual. But who knows? Maybe you'll see him. Maybe you'll see him pop in at some point over the next 45 minutes. If not, then I'm sure. Then I guess whatever dumb shit he has to say, we'll just have to wait another week. But we are coming to you. We're coming to you about 24 hours after another riveting preseason game has come and gone. The Jets won 15-12 against the Carolina Panthers, and really nothing noteworthy happened really at all. From what I saw, I think I watched a total of 5 minutes of this game. Probably the most interesting part of this game was when I turned the game off and went to the movie theater and went and saw the new Alien movie. But yeah, really the only highlight that I've really seen was the Will McDonald spin move and the sack, which the Will
I didn't
McDonald
even see
spin
that.
move.
I
It
was,
was
I was,
pretty. Oh, it was pretty sick. So you didn't watch any of the game?
no, yeah, I did. I just had it on it because I was switching through like all the preseason games.
Yeah, I mean none of them were particularly interesting. I mean, I saw
Yeah,
like 3 minutes of
I
like
kind
the
of just did it for like, I kind of just did it for like draft research to see who I could get as like sleepers and stuff.
True. Yeah. The fantasy draft season is rapidly approaching. Some might have even started already. I'm in one league that the draft has started today, but it's like a long draft where each pick is like 8 hours, or like everyone is like on the clock for like 8 hours, so it goes pretty slow, but that should hopefully be done just in time for the start of the season. But yeah, I mean, aside from the Will McDonald sack, I mean, not much to report on. Braylon Allen was pretty, Braylon Allen did Braylon Allen things. He pretty much every time he got the
Yeah,
ball, he would turn a loss or a 2-yard gain into like a 4-yard gain. So that's definitely encouraging to
yeah,
see that. Andrew Peasley looked pretty good in his limited time playing. He was basically fine.
for,
For a third string camp arm, really no issues there.
yeah.
And um,
I mean, I thought he played like kind of like ass, but I mean, what do you expect from him? To be honest.
yeah, I mean, I guess you could argue that he did. I mean, I'll be honest. Again, I watched maybe 5 minutes of this game, and by the time I was watching, he may have even been out of it. But uh,
Yeah,
I kind of wouldn't
yeah,
mind if, like, because I mean, obviously Aaron Rodgers is going to be QB1. And obviously Rodgers will be QB1, and then what you call it, Tyrod Taylor will be QB2. I'm guessing that Jordan
QB2.
Travis. I mean, Jordan Travis is probably gonna go on the IR, if I had to guess, and probably won't dress at all this season or take up a roster
Yeah.
spot. And since we are Jets fans and we are sickos, we love a good
Hmm.
QB3 debate. Um, so, I mean, between Peasley and Adrian Martinez, who would you give it to?
I mean, they've both had their moments, at least in preseason. And
Yeah,
like Rick Peasley had like that one nice drive that first preseason game where it was like the the running with Allen, the passing to Isaiah Davis, and then the touchdown with Jason Brownlee, I think it was.
yeah,
Like that, he cooked up like a decent drive, and I mean after that, I haven't really seen like much of him. Adrian Martinez, I really haven't seen much. I mean, I saw some yesterday, but I mean, I wasn't really impressed with what how he did.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, both of them are kind of whatever. I would probably give a slight edge to Andrew Peasley,
Yeah,
just because I mean, Peasley seems
yeah,
like a bit of a check down merchant from what I can see. I mean, he threw for 33 yards
hmm
on 7 completions and 11 attempts. So I mean, hard to imagine that he's really like chucking the ball downfield if he's putting up numbers like that. But he also has the legs in the running
yeah,
game, which Adrian Martinez hasn't really shown.
hmm
So I would
yeah.
give the slight
No, that's
edge.
true.
I would probably give the slight edge to Peasley, just like kind of based on that. And yeah, it looked like Martinez was pretty ass last night. Like he threw a pick and he had way less.
hmm
He also only had 7 completions, but on 6 more attempts. So he didn't really, he didn't really do much. But
hmm
he also like doubled. He also doubled Peasley in passing yards on the same amount of completions. So it'll I guess that's something that'll probably resolve itself in the last preseason game, like who's going to take home the job, because I mean, highly doubt we're going to see Rodgers play in the preseason again this year.
No.
And I don't really think and I don't really know if they'll put in. I don't really know if they'll put in Tyrod Taylor in that last game. I don't really think they should, or that there's really any reason to. I mean, shit.
Yeah.
Shit. Tyrod Taylor got hurt in the Giants game against the Jets last year. Granted, that was a real game, a regular season game, and that was when
Yeah.
the legend of Tommy DeVito was born. But
hmm
maybe the Giants want to maybe the Giants want to get some revenge and injure him in a meaningless preseason game. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time a Jets quarterback got injured in a meaningless preseason game. We all remember what happened that one year with Mark Sanchez and then Rex Ryan turning his back on the beat reporters. Speaking of beat reporters, we have the heel turn. We have the heel turn of the century, and some elite level trolling coming from Brian Costello. He went from
Oh shit.
he went from like, no, don't. He went from like, no timeouts or challenges in the second half to like just like uh acting like he was excited to be there. So either he's doing an elite troll job and just doing a heel turn, or his employers saw his tweets and were like, "Hey, man, like at least show like a little fucking respect for like your job."
I can't stand that fucking guy. I swear.
Yeah, no, he's a complete asshole. Pretty much like 95% of the time, and then every once. Actually, I can't even say that every once in a while he gets some good information, because that doesn't seem to happen either. And he has him and Connor Hughes had conflicting reports about the whole Haason Reddick thing and whether or not he was offered a contract. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
I saw that.
yeah. Speaking of Haason Reddick, I mean, we don't have to talk about him for too long. I think we kind of beat that topic to death the past
hmm
couple of weeks. But do you think we get any sort of update on him this week?
Probably not. I don't think
I don't
so.
really think so
Uh,
either.
yeah, I
It's
think it's
gonna
just
be
gonna ride out until the season starts, and then they'll end up deciding from there.
yeah. I could see it being I could see it being a Chris Jones situation where he sits out the first game and like one
Yeah.
person
Hmm.
and then like one side caves.
Hmm.
I would put my if I had to like put the if I had to make like a blame pie chart, I would probably put 60% of it on Woody Johnson, 25% on it, Joe Douglas for trading for a player with a new contract and not giving him one.
Hmm.
I'd put 10% of it on on Haason Reddick's agents, and then
Hmm.
5% on Reddick himself, just for saying too much and just for saying too much in like his opening press conference and making himself kind of look bad.
Yeah, I mean that pretty much that seems accurate to me because I mean, one he want obviously he wants money, and would you rather it him cave or the Jets cave?
I would rather that he caved because it would be very Jets for it would be very Jets for it would be very Jets for them to pay him and then for his
Uh-huh.
production to just like fall off a cliff. I mean, we've seen that.
And but there's also a way where all right, I'm not getting paid enough. Why should I even play good? Do you think he would be like that? I don't know. It
I don't
doesn't
know. I
seem
mean,
like he would.
I would think he would want. I would think he would want another. I would think he'd want another contract.
Yeah, no, he definitely does. We obviously know that, and I mean, I don't think he's gonna get what he wants because I think he wants what like 25 a year, and he probably wants like at least a 3 year deal, maybe
Yeah, that seems to be the rumor is that he wants 3 years,
the rumor.
25 to 28. I mean, two.
Yeah,
I think two
and
years would be fine because 2 years with
um,
maybe a an option for a third year would be fine because
right.
like that would line up with that would line up with the Rogers window,
Hmm.
um, and then from there you can kind of decide what you want to do, and he could give him enough guaranteed money that if you decide to decline that option that year or whatever
Hmm.
happens that I would probably rather make it a team option rather than a player option because I feel like it
Okay,
could be a situation where in 2 to 3 years where his value isn't like what it is right now.
I could see it being like an incentive based contract where it's like, okay, if you get like 10 sacks, you'll get let's for example, like you'll make like 20, and then every like half sack or full sack after that, you'll get an extra mil. Just
Yeah.
shooting the shit. Maybe it's around 18. Who knows? But I mean, I don't know about 25, but I don't think he's getting like 20 sacks this season, especially like with his age. And I don't know how his production is going to still be if it's going to be the same. Uh, but I could project him getting around like 13, 14, maybe
Yeah,
even 15. Who knows?
yeah, I can see him getting at least 10. And I mean, there's been a lot of arguments, as far as like, do the Jets need him or not? The way I look at it is when you let Bryce Huff walk, you lost 10 sacks. And
Hmm.
you replace those 10, maybe more than 10 sacks with Haason Reddick. If then
Right.
Reddick doesn't, if Reddick then isn't there, and maybe maybe if the Jets never even trade for Haason Reddick, maybe maybe we feel different. Maybe we feel entirely different about this, and maybe we just feel good about rolling with Will McDonald and Jermaine Johnson because that's like really not the
Hmm.
worst thing in the world. But I think it's the fact
Yeah,
that you went out and got Haason Reddick to try and like put yourself over the top, and like now you're doing, now you're doing like typical like Jets things and making statements
yeah,
and just like making
right,
yourself look,
right.
you know, just making yourself look bad when there is really no need to do that. So I mean, but I do think they need him because I think that especially in a year like this where you are going all in, supposedly to try and end this playoff drought and get as far as you can. Maybe even, I mean, Aaron Rodgers said himself, the goal is New Orleans. So
Mhm.
I think that with it being that type of year, I think that it would be a bad look to not get a deal done for Reddick and get him in the building. Like now's
Mhm.
not the time to be penny pinching. Penny pinching, I
Yeah,
mean.
no shit.
Uh,
Yeah, because we're a win now team. We want to win right now. We're not trying to wait and it's not for the future right now. We're trying to do it now.
yeah, and I
So
just think that yeah, like, and
eh,
I just think that like if you're counting on, like if you're counting on you're counting on Will McDonald to take this massive leap, and like he does look good when he does play, but we just haven't seen enough of it in like the regular season and like when it really
yeah,
matters. Like it's great that he got a sack against like the Panthers backup offensive line who will probably be plumbers in like a week or two. Like that's
mhm,
great and all, but at the same time, you really, I think it's like kind of I think it's questionable to kind of just kind of just bank on Jermaine Johnson taking another leap, even though I think he will, and to bank on Will McDonald taking another leap. I don't think that, like, I think Jermaine Johnson will continue to improve and continue to ascend as a pretty good pass rusher. I think you could probably count on like 7 or 8 sacks from him this season. Will
mhm.
McDonald,
Well,
I,
you could see it. Well, you've seen it in year two already, so you know he progresses a lot. You haven't seen Will McDonald improve from year one yet, so it's kind of like something you're just hoping for. At least
exactly.
like
That's
with
the
Reddick,
part.
he has a proven record, and you know he's pretty much like the cherry on the cake for the defense because like it's like all right, we have a solidified edge rusher that's at least a top 10 edge rusher, and you know what you're going to get with him in any situation because he's played on like 4 different schemes, and they I think it was the Arizona or the Eagles that realized like he started at like a middle linebacker and they moved him to the edge and realized he just started dominating. So they were like, all right, we found his strength and now we're gonna use it. And ever since for the past what like 4 years, he's had like 50 plus sacks or something like that, somewhere around there. So it's
Yeah.
like, okay, you're getting someone proven and he's an every down edge rusher, unlike Bryce Huff. So
Yeah.
it's
Who's
like, all right,
just third and fourth down.
who right.
Yeah. And it's like, so like everyone was upset when we lost Bryce Huff, and,
Hmm.
or at least most
It
people
was
were.
just yeah, it
And
was just a situational difference between the two. And
yeah,
it almost seemed like Reddick was a panic move just because they were like, okay, well, I don't know with Joe Douglas because he seems like he thinks he knows what he's doing and he just said, fuck it, we don't need him anymore. Even though he's like a homegrown player, they're like, okay, usually you'd want to sign him and
I think
it would
what
be a
happened, I think what happened was this. I think that, you know, and also I'm sure that Woody probably had his I think Woody probably had his hand in it a little bit too.
let
Like,
me bathroom real quick.
probably a similar situation because I think Bryce Huff Bryce Huff, I think, wanted to stay with the Jets. But he wasn't going to give a hometown discount, and nor should he have. But I think that Bryce Huff wanted to be a Jet if the money was right. I think that if the Jets would have matched the money or slightly exceeded the money that Philly was offering, maybe to make up for like the taxes and cost of living in New York, New Jersey versus Pennsylvania. Although Philly, I think, is like a fairly expensive place to live, and PA taxes really aren't, PA taxes really aren't that far behind like New York or New Jersey, but they're still a little less. But I think if the Jets would have matched that money, or at least made it like a little bit more, I think he would have stayed, because I remember in the last game of the season against the Patriots last year, I think someone tweeted at Bryce Huff like, "Oh, please, please, I hope this isn't your last game as a New York Jet." And he was like, and he basically said something to the effect of, "I hope not either." And with some like
Yeah,
prayer emojis and
and
crying emojis or something. So I think he
because if
wanted to be here.
yeah, no, he definitely did because this is where this first team that picked him up at least as an undrafted free agent, and I looked at he's making around like what 17 a year. I'm like, we
Yeah,
couldn't pay that.
years 51. So
Even
yeah,
like 19, like shit, you could have paid him like an extra 2 mil just to stay, and that would have been what, like a 3 year $54 million contract, or 55.
yeah,
That's
yeah. He
not
could have
bad,
even thrown in the extra year or some extra guaranteed money to like sweeten the deal.
right?
But yeah, I do think he
Something.
wanted to be a Jet. If like all the offers he got, if the money was right from everyone, I think that he
Hmm.
would have stayed. I think it was kind of a Woody thing where Woody was probably like, "This is like our number that we're going to," and I think it was like maybe like 15 or 16, and or something like that, or maybe 14 or 15. They're probably like, they were probably like, "Oh, we're not going to pay any higher than," they're probably like, "Oh,
Yeah,
we're not going to pay you any higher than like what Reddick is like currently making." It sounds like whatever
right.
the case was, whoever
They
was
just
at
want
that
to.
position, like
Mhm.
whoever was at that position, like they probably didn't want to pay any more than what Reddick is making, because they probably felt like that was like the highest value, that he should be paid. But that's not the way free
Yeah,
agency works, as we all know, and that's also not the way that acquiring players who are unhappy with contracts works either. He can say all the right things when he
uh-huh.
comes over, or you can make handshake agreements, but yeah, I mean, we already discussed how those are not, those are not a real thing. So yeah, I mean,
Right.
hopefully they can figure something out. But yeah, I think that's kind of what happened. Then they saw the opportunity to get Reddick, and they were like, okay, like we can upgrade at this position, actually, like upgrade in the short term. And they were probably under the impression that it would cost them less to do that
Right.
upgrade. So it probably felt like a slam dunk type of move. And the longer this goes on, because everyone says that everything changed when the Jets traded away John Franklin Myers. And maybe that is true, but like the longer this goes on, and the fact that it's a very frustrating thing to like still be going on, like, as we like get closer and closer to like the end of preseason and the end of August. I mean, uh, we're
Uh,
now like 3 weeks away. We're 3 weeks away from the season opener in San Francisco, for all intents and purposes. So it's like the closer it gets to that, the more I think that he wasn't going to show up no matter what. You could have kept JFM. Will McDonald could have had 10 sacks in a preseason game yesterday. He wasn't going to show up until he got his bread.
right. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to decipher what could have happened if we didn't and kept him, JFM. But I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it
I mean,
is.
we're. I mean, I don't.
I
It's
mean, I
just
also
so
don't
much bullshit that keeps piling up,
always. It's always
especially when
something.
it's a season we're trying to like be in. We're all in, and
Yeah, yeah. Even in the 2010 season, we had an ongoing holdout for most of it. So
yeah,
maybe there's a
Revis.
maybe there's a dark room or a diner in New Jersey they can meet up at, or they can get into like a, I think they probably need to go to like a bar that's like that doesn't have the lights on
Yeah.
and just like hash this thing out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also weird because
Get the back
like
table in the corner.
the weird thing about it too is that Joe Douglas and Haason Reddick are both like represented by the same agency, which also kind of makes me think that it's a
Really?
Woody thing because yeah, yeah, I was listening to Badlands and Connor was saying how Connor was saying how like they're both represented by was it CAA or something like that, but they're both
Is
represented
isn't
by
isn't Debo also represented by that same agent
I believe so.
as Hassan Reddick? And yeah, and
Yeah,
he
they just
requested a trade also. Yeah. But
yeah, so this
see,
is just
like,
kind of
all
what
right.
they do.
So when we traded for him, like clearly nobody else wanted to trade for him. So what makes the difference now? Like it's later in the off season and the season's about to start. Who's interested in Reddick?
Yeah, and having to pay players does mess with their value, and I think he's worth I think he's worth I think he's worth around what he's asking for, or he's
Hmm.
definitely worthy of getting a new contract and getting a raise in pay. I don't care that he's never taken a snap for the
Yeah,
Jets. There is precedent for this. Chris Jones got a new contract at
yeah.
29 last year, and he's like a
Hmm.
10 plus sack. He's a 10 plus sack a year defensive tackle. So there is precedent for
Right,
like players in like their early 30s getting new contracts, getting paid, and producing. It's not like
right.
it's not like this is some unprecedented thing. And I know some people make the argument, oh, he hasn't done a thing for the Jets. Why should they pay him? But
I thought that was a dumb argument, to be honest with you.
it is a dumb
Like, who
argument.
cares? He's proven already.
Yeah, he's proven what he can do. He's proven he can get 10 plus sacks a year. He's done that with other teams that he's done that with other teams that don't have as good of defensive lines or as good of defensive coaching as the Jets do. For all the shit we talk about the Jets coaching staff sometimes, like we can all agree that Saleh and Ulbrich know what they're doing when it comes to defense. Um,
Mhm.
and like everyone, they definitely know how to develop. They definitely know how to identify talent and develop players on at least on that side of the ball. And I mean, he just
100%.
had a 10 plus sack season in Philadelphia, who just fired their defensive coordinator, and they hired Vic Fangio, who I think is like
Hmm.
probably one of the most overrated defensive coordinators in the entire league, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, right. And
So
I
so
don't
what
think
makes
he would use him the same way either.
Yeah. So what makes a fan think that? So what makes a fan think that like if he's done that, and then he was before that he was on the Cardinals, and like they weren't exactly known for their
Right.
defense or known for anything really. Uh,
Hmm.
so so like with all that, knowing all that, what makes you think that like that this staff wouldn't also be able to get the most out of him? So that argument never really made a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, yeah. I thought it
Um,
was kind of dumb. I don't know who it was. I think it was like Marcus Spears that brought that up, and you
yeah.
could correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe it was him. Maybe it was someone else. But yeah, once I heard that, I was like, well, Aaron Rodgers hasn't proven shit with the Jets either.
Yeah, and like they made that argument like, oh, it would be a bad look, but it's like, okay, Aaron Rodgers has done nothing as a Jet. They still traded for him, and they still
They're
got
still
all his
sticking to him.
buddies. Yeah,
Hmm.
and they traded for all his buddies too. They signed Lazard. They got Billy
Like,
Turner and Tim Boyle and uh
yeah, and they cut all the loose
um
ends, and
yeah. I'm actually surprised. I'm actually surprised they haven't signed Bakhtiari, but I guess you don't
Yeah,
really
I
need
am
to
too.
when. I guess you don't really need to when your backup left/right tackle is maybe the best offensive tackle prospect the Jets have ever had in Olu
You think
Fashanu.
so?
He's up
How
there.
did you feel about them moving him to right tackle?
So I'm not sure. Like at first I didn't really like it because I feel like it was like kind
I
of
don't.
classic yeah, because it feels kind of like classic kind of classic Jets oh you're really good at this thing but we're gonna try and get you to do this other thing too. So at first I didn't really like it, but I could see it being. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to cross train him. I mean, they could just continue to develop him at left tackle and have him be like one of the best left tackles. One of the best left tackles in the league. Like
Exactly.
when his time to play does come, and that's probably the best thing for the long term. But for the short term, it does give him more, it does give them more flexibility and more depth on the O line. And then, like, in the event Morgan Moses gets hurt, you could put Fashanu out there instead of putting Max Mitchell out there. In fact, Max Mitchell can probably just be cut
Mhm.
because Max Mitchell,
Yeah.
unlike Olu Fashanu, Max Mitchell is not good.
Yeah. I think he sucks.
Yeah, I would
Carter
still.
Warren actually didn't do bad.
Yeah, Carter Warren was pretty good too. So I think at this point, Max Mitchell is expendable and will probably be, will probably be playing somewhere else this season, if
Yeah,
anywhere.
I saw Carolina. Carolina had Lamar Jackson in the corner. I didn't know he
Oh,
was still in the league.
they have the other Lamar Jackson, the one that got burnt by Henry Ruggs,
Uh huh.
and that
And he was like hyping the team up and everything too.
oh,
Right when it
really?
started.
No, well,
Yeah.
good for him. Good for him. The Lamar Jackson revenge game. That locker room should be ashamed of themselves that they couldn't pull out the victory for him in the Lamar revenge game because the Jets only kicked field goals,
Yeah. What was it? 16 to what?
15-12. So yeah, it was the Lamar Jackson / Eddie Pinheiro revenge game. Pinheiro had three field or no Pinheiro had two field goals, and then towards the end of the game, and then like right at the end of the game, the Panthers got a touchdown, and then I guess I don't know if they went for two or if they kicked extra point, but I guess they missed. They failed their conversion. However, it was
Yeah.
whatever way you slice it. Also,
Hmm.
I'm looking at like the score app, and I'm looking at like the like the box score and stuff from this game, and they got to be lying because they're saying that the attendance for that game was 71,205 people that were at this game. There is absolutely no way. There is absolutely no way that there were 71,000. I don't even know if there were 7,000 people at this game. I don't even know if there were 205 people at this game.
Yeah. It looked like it was empty.
Yeah, I think that they probably weren't even recording those numbers for the. They probably weren't even recording those numbers for the preseason,
I
so
don't
they probably
even
just like, all
care.
right, we'll just put down the stadium capacity and see if anyone notices. But guess what? I
Right.
noticed. I noticed, and I'm airing your shit out for all 12 of our listeners. But
Yeah.
yeah, so Mo's phone is going off
Yeah.
right now, but
Olufishano is
earlier.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
earlier when your phone made that sound, it was our hero co-host Justin who said he fell asleep in Brooklyn and was grabbing food and heading home, and that he probably wouldn't be able to hop on for another hour. This was about 23
Yeah.
minutes ago. So, and then you have to add at least, so, basically Justin's not going to be on this podcast. So
No,
maybe
he's
we
definitely
can,
not.
so we could either,
Hop
when
into
we,
our.
when we get to the point, maybe we could either do our top 10 offensive tackles ourselves and then make him give his on the next episode, or we can just wait till next episode to do all that.
Oh, that's a good idea. I wonder. I say we do our. No. I think we should let him do his first on the next podcast, and then we'll do ours.
Yeah, I like that. All right,
Yeah,
perfect. That works for me. One
that
other
works for me
thing.
too.
Yeah, so yeah, as far as Olu goes, yeah, and I saw like he got like one holding penalty like early in the game, and like all the
Yeah,
like
I know. I know.
Joe and Clarks of the world were like, see, this is why we should have taken Brock Bowers. Like, listen, I'll admit it. At the time, I definitely wanted Brock Bowers. Um, I thought that he would
Mhm.
make the most impact and that he had the opportunity to be like an elite tight end. Still think he could be an elite tight end in the NFL. But
I think he'll be. I think he'll be a really good tight end.
yeah, I think he'll be. Yeah, I think he'll be
I'm not.
pretty damn good.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. I'm not. Obviously, we can't make that decision yet. I'll wait. Like, let's see, like halfway through the season, just so
Yeah, we
we
can.
can get like some gameplay, and then
Yeah, some sort of a
determine just
feel.
like if he passes the eye tests or something like that. You know.
Yeah, see if he passes the test. Then
But
once the Raiders trade Devontae
mhm.
Adams to the Jets at the trade deadline, then he could really become like the focal point of that offense, and then we could really see what he does. So I hope that he plays well enough to at least like take some targets away from Devontae too. And hopefully
Yeah,
Gardner Minshew,
yeah.
hopefully Gardner Minshew can, you know, I hope Gardner Minshew like sucks enough that Devontae wants out, and I hope that he's like good enough that but I also hope he's like good enough that he can help with Brock Bowers' development, so that the Raiders feel more okay about trading Devontae because
So
like, oh, we got the stud Brock Bowers.
so yeah. So basically, be Uncle Rico,
Yeah, which is what he's always been. Which is what
yeah,
he's always been. I mean, I think half the reason
prime Uncle Rico.
that's the only reason people even like Gardner Minshew is because he's like the mean quarterback and looks like Uncle Rico. Otherwise, like people wouldn't even talk about him because he's really not that good. Like there's not that much. There's really not that much of a difference. He's probably like he's a little bit better, more proven Mike White, basically.
Yeah, yeah,
He's a backup. He's a
and
perfectly
he's
good backup quarterback in the NFL,
right.
and he'll make a good career out of that, and he'll make money. And the fact that he looks like Uncle Rico will get him some endorsement deals, and he'll be able to live comfortably. But yeah, as far as uh,
ZZ. Yeah, Justin's calling. Yo,
oh, he was
well,
calling.
it's too late for him now. So
Oh, I was gonna say answer. Let's hear his let's hear what he's got to say. What maybe we'll
no,
just
he
go to
he gave me the button. I'm gonna give it right back.
the. Fair enough. I was gonna say we could go to the phones and just have him be we could demote him from co-host to caller, but or we could just
Yeah,
or
I think that's the perfect resolution.
yeah, or we could just have him yeah, or we could just have him serve his suspension
Our weekly
for this
caller.
episode. Our weekly caller, Justin. Yeah, you just know his ego wouldn't be able to handle that. But yeah, as far as Fashanu goes, I hope that he continues to get the majority of the reps at
Yeah.
left tackle, because I think that's ultimately, unlike Mekhi Becton, who
Hmm.
uh, has thrown up 20 times in camp and suffered an injury. Olu Fashanu actually is a left tackle, and probably has more merit saying that than Mekhi Becton.
And
And
healthy.
yeah, it also makes me wonder with the whole Becton thing, like, so like
Yeah.
he's like the favorite to start at guard for the Eagles. So I wonder if it's just that he didn't respect the Jets coaches and that he does respect the Eagles coaches, which is fine. Like
I mean,
the
well,
Eagles
probably
offensive
because I
line
mean
coaches are like,
The Eagles have like a proven record. Yeah.
yeah, they have a proven record of like good O linemen and good offensive line coaching, and like we have like,
Hmm.
like Todd Downing and Keith Carter. So uh I wouldn't, I wouldn't blame him necessarily. But I mean, he was even doing that shit like before. He was even doing that stuff like before they came. Like
Yeah.
it seemed like he didn't like it seemed like he didn't really gel with the Jets coaches. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not too
Yeah.
worried about it. I'm not too
Yeah.
worried about him though. He heal up
Me
Makai,
neither.
and hopefully you can play week 1 for the Eagles. Here's something I wanted to
Hmm.
discuss a little bit. Uh, so it's not really a Jets topic, but it's a little relevant to the Jets because regardless of where he would play, the Jets would have to deal with him. So this whole Brandon Ayuk thing, uh, it seems like at this point, he will either sign an extension with the 49ers or he'll get traded to the Steelers. Um, I don't know when this
I
whole
mean, he
thing is
has.
going to end. It's been going on forever. He,
Yeah.
apparently the Patriots were trying to trade for him. He didn't want to go there because of their quarterback situation, and then he didn't want to go to the Browns either, which may have also been, I forget what the exact reason that he turned down the
And
Browns
they
was.
were gonna trade like Amari Cooper
Amari
to them,
Cooper
and
I think it was Amari Cooper and like a second and a fourth or something, which would have honestly been a pretty big overpay. So like Brandon Ayuk actually did the 49ers a favor by like vetoing that trade. But I guess they're in a situation now where
yeah,
they have a deal in place with the Steelers if like they've agreed to the framework of a trade, I guess. And I guess the
hmm,
Steelers have like a good contract offer in place if they were to trade for him. But the 49ers are like
right.
still trying to work something out. So I guess my question is from a Jets standpoint, because we play the 49ers week 1 and we play
Hmm.
the Steelers week 7. Um, so I guess like my question is like, when would you rather deal with Brandon Ayuk, and like what team would you rather deal with him being on?
Week 1,
Yeah,
easy.
I'd say 49ers
Yeah,
pretty easily.
Forty
Out of
Niners.
conference, out of conference game. Yeah, out of conference
Mm-hmm.
game. I mean, Brock Purdy's a better quarterback than like anyone the Steelers have right now. Um,
And he's holding in, so he's not really like getting like a lot of practice in. Really, I mean, he
yeah,
knows the offense, but I mean, it's what Debo, Ayuk, and what like Ricky Pearsall, the rookie they
yeah,
drafted.
yeah, yeah.
So
That would be
I
like
mean,
the next guy.
those
Or do
two
they still have
to me,
Do they still have Juwan
they're like
Jennings?
I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do have Jawan Jennings.
Yeah. So
Actually, I can
him and
confirm that.
Pearsall would probably be him and Pearsall would probably be like fighting for that last roster spot then.
That flanker spot.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but I'm not really worried about it because our defense is nuts.
Yeah, our
and their
defense should be
defense
good
is pretty
enough.
good too. So I feel like it should be a defensive battle. Hopefully, we'll get around like 17 points to 24 points,
Yeah, I
and then
think
just hold them down. I mean, I'm really not scared of Brock Purdy, to be honest with you.
I'm really not either. He definitely deserves his flowers. Like, I think that
Yeah.
The whole Purdy phenomenon discourse that goes around
Hmm.
him is kind of interesting to me because on one hand, it's like just the fact that he's like a starting quarterback in the NFL is like kind of crazy enough considering he was Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah.
Um, hopefully Jalen Key
Hmm.
can do similar things on the defensive side of the ball. Like I would be impressed honestly if Jalen Key like made the roster and played
Hey,
like even like a couple.
he's been decent.
Yeah, he's been playing well. But yeah, if he even made the roster
Hmm.
and like played a few meaningful reps in the
Yeah.
in the regular season, like I'd consider that a win.
Hmm.
So it's like,
Hmm.
he definitely deserves his flowers for like
Hmm.
being a starting quarterback. And the fact of the matter too
Yeah.
is that as far as Kyle Shanahan's system goes, he's been able to unlock it and maximize it better than anyone else has. He's
Yeah.
done better than Jimmy G.
That's
Trey
true.
Lance couldn't
See.
even see the field there. So, he's kind of executed that system to perfection. But he's still like limited
Hmm.
in what he can do. He's not a quarterback that
Yeah.
exactly
And see, this
he's
is
not exactly a quarterback that inspires fear.
right. He's that game manager type that just or at least the head coach understands him where he's able to manage him. And that's why I think Shanahan's the X factor of that team, at least on the
Right.
offense. So that's who I'm more scared of, Shanahan, than Brock Purdy.
Yeah,
Because
I'm more
Brock Purdy
scared
just has
of
to execute, and he knows how to have him execute.
yeah, like I would say as far as the 49ers go, my biggest fears the biggest fears like or the people that I fear the most on the 49ers, like one definitely Shanahan cuz he's a top 2
Christian
coach in the
McCaffrey.
league. Yeah, Christian McCaffrey right after him. Nick Bosa probably number 3. Uh and then number 4 probably Leonard Floyd Leonard Floyd just because of what happened
Yeah.
last year. Um, so those are probably like the only people that I really fear. No disrespect to Debo, Kittle, or Ayuk. I just feel that our defense and our
I think
secondary are
I
like
think
good enough.
their linebackers are up there too. Fred Warner is
Oh
really
yeah,
good.
Fred Warner is a beast. Fred Warner's a beast. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm like afraid of him. Like
Afraid,
I'm
yeah.
afraid
Yeah, no,
of
I'm
like
not
Nick
afraid of him,
Bosa.
but
It's like
he's like at that second tier. Hmm.
yeah, Nick Bosa. I mean, I'd definitely be afraid of Fred Warner in real life. Like he would destroy me.
Yeah,
He
no
would kill
shit.
me. But like as far as the Jets go, like I mean, I'm sure he'll have like I'm sure
Yeah.
he'll be tough to play against. Like I'm sure he'll have a good game, and
Hmm.
like if Brees Hall gets past the first level of defense, he'll definitely have his work cut out for him against Fred Warner, and Fred Warner could definitely do some
Yeah.
damage, but he's not someone that I'm like, oh, like obviously you have to watch out for him,
All
but it's
right.
not someone like, oh, that's someone who's gonna like end Aaron
Dominate.
Rodgers' career or like take over the
Right.
game. But he'll probably
Hmm.
have like a very good game.
Hmm.
Um,
I think he's actually really close to like. No, he might be a step up above C.J. Mosley, at least like age wise, just because of the side of 30 they're both on. But I think Fred Warner's like 30 years old.
yeah, Fred Warner is getting up there. He's been in the league for
Mm-hmm.
quite some time now, but I mean he also doesn't show any
So,
signs of slowing down. It'll be
signs of
really
slowing.
funny
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
Yeah, he's 27 actually, so he's still like has a few years
Is
to
he
go
27?
before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he'll be
Oh,
28
I
in
thought he was a
November.
lot
So
older. Huh.
yeah, he'll be. It feels like he's been
Okay.
around a lot longer because I mean
It
he was
does.
drafted
When
in
he
he
got
was
drafted,
drafted
what,
in
20,
2018.
2018? 18? Okay.
18.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I figured. Yeah. And he was, I think he went to BYU from,
he did go to
I
BYU.
want to
He
say.
was
Yeah,
a Cougar.
I figured. Yeah, I think he
Yeah.
actually played with
Um,
the one who must not be named.
I don't think they play together at all
Oh,
because
really? Oh, yeah, because he got drafted in
yeah, he got
2018.
drafted in
Okay.
2018. I think that he who shan't be named, I think probably I think his freshman
Year
year
was
would have been
2019.
yeah, would have been 2019 or you know what?
It might have been
Maybe
2018, actually.
yeah, they might have I'm looking now. Okay, yeah, so they did play actually, well no, they didn't cuz
No,
his
because he got
freshman year
drafted 2018, and
and that
Wilson's
was Zach
freshman year
Wilson's
was
freshman year.
2018.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So
yeah,
they
so they
just
did
missed
not
each other.
yeah, they did just miss each other for sure. Which probably for the best for Zach Wilson if he had to if he had to practice against Fred Warner, Fred Warner probably would have made him look a lot worse. And I don't know
Yeah,
if that would have made him better in
that
games
would
or
have
worse.
been that.
You know, I don't know if it would
I
have been
think that would have been better for us.
iron sharpening wood or something. But I mean,
Iron chopping wood.
yeah. You know, I don't know. Like Zach Wilson seems like a type where his confidence is pretty easily shakeable. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
so
easy.
I can see it getting shaken by someone like that in practice. But yeah, it'll
Mhm.
be really funny when Fred Warner does something in this game that completely derails our season, and this segment gets
Yeah.
clipped, and you know,
Oh God, I can't wait.
gets us famous for all the wrong reasons. But yeah, Brandon Ayuk. I hope we see you week one. You'll probably. I think Brandon Ayuk will probably actually have a pretty good game. I mean, because I mean, if
Yeah,
we're thinking about week
I think
one,
so.
I mean, who are you putting sauce on?
So the
On
sauce is supposed to be sauce is supposed to be following like their number one receiver, and who is it going to be, Debo or Ayuk? I'm assuming it's going to be Ayuk.
yeah. So actually, Debo, one of those receivers will have a good game. Whoever has to go up against DJ Reed, I think will be
Yeah,
good. Yeah, DJ.
and then Quantez comes in.
Yeah, yeah. Like I saw someone, you know that Tony Vegas account on Twitter
Yeah,
that
yeah.
gets all the it's been getting all the scoops. Someone was asking him. They're like, "Oh, do you think Quantez Stiggers could be the reason the Jets end up not extending Michael Carter too?" And I was like, "He absolutely shouldn't be, but I could see him being the reason that DJ Reed doesn't get a new contract." But
Yeah,
yeah,
I agree.
DJ Reed has kind of been getting cooked in these. DJ Reed has kind of been getting cooked in these. Like, I mean, he hasn't been
The
playing in the
joint
preseason games,
practices, at least
but he
against at least Carolina. I saw, and then he just started like a fight. I'm pretty sure it was DJ Reed that started it. If I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken.
Do you think he started the fight just out of frustration from getting cooked by
I,
like
I, yeah.
who was it? Was it Deontay Johnson that was burning him, or was it someone else? I don't even know like what other receivers they have.
They didn't really show. They didn't really show who it was. Maybe they
Yeah,
were just talking shit to him, and then I don't know. Maybe he has like short man syndrome and got pissed off. But
it was probably that, and you know
I
they were
mean,
down in. They're also
I
their
don't know. Other
training
than that, I
camp.
guess it's just fucking hot, and then players get
Yeah,
frustrated.
yeah, it's hot
Yeah,
as hell, and I mean
it
they're
was
the
who?
No, I was saying it's hot as hell down there, and like it's even hotter because their training camp is in South Carolina, which it gets like even hotter than North Carolina.
Right, right.
So it's probably just a
Hmm.
typical training camp scuffle. I doubt it's like I'm sure he's frustrated about getting cooked every day,
Yeah,
but he's getting cooked by Garrett Wilson mostly, like in the
yeah.
in the intra squad practices, at least. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's weird. Like these, like this whole week, I kept hearing about like how chippy all these joint practices have been, and like how intense they've been. And then the preseason game, it was just like the most boring, like non-eventful thing ever. Like I guess they were just trying to get them, like just trying to get out
Yeah.
like alive at that point. But yeah, I hope to see Ayuk week one. I think Sauce
Hmm.
should cover Ayuk, and DJ Debo. I
All
think they'll
right.
put Sauce on Debo because DJ Reed's short and Debo is like really tall, and Sauce is a lot taller. So I think that he could be a better that he could match up better against Debo. And Brandon Ayuk's a little shorter, so they might put Reed on
Hmm.
Ayuk. So, and if that is the case, I think that Ayuk might cook us, but I think he'd also potentially be able to cook us in a more important, you know, game against a conference opponent in Pittsburgh.
I think they're like the same height. They're like 6 feet tall, both of them. Ayuk and Debo.
Really, because it feels like Debo's like at least it feels like Debo's like half a foot taller than Ayuk.
He's like, I want to say he's like Breeze Hall's height, maybe 6'1". I mean, Debo's not that tall.
Yeah, Debo. I guess he's just lanky. And looking now, I guess you're right. They are both 6 feet tall. But for some reason, Debo just yeah
Hmm.
Debo I guess is just lankier because he just seems like a
I think
longer.
he's just more stocky. Okay, he's
Yeah,
built like a running back. That's what it is.
yeah,
And I mean, he does get a lot of running plays, so I mean, it makes sense. But
yeah.
yeah, we could give our number one on who we have for the OT list if you want, as a little
Okay,
preview.
just number
Then wrap
one.
it up.
All right, I'm down.
Just our
I'm
number
down.
ones.
All
Yeah,
right,
and I,
I'm down
I
for
I
that.
think we have the same one.
We probably do. You want to go
Yeah.
first?
Are we playing them week one?
We are.
All right, then we do.
Yep. All right. That's our number ones for top 10 OTs. We'll drop the full lists next week, assuming that
Yeah,
assuming that Justin decides to show up. Would be really nice of
yeah.
him. Let us
That'd be
know
interesting.
if you'd like to become a part of this podcast and if you think we should fire him. Because he's been on the hot seat longer than Robert Saleh at this point.
we need someone to bring it.
Yeah, or even just someone who like answers text messages and is like
Man,
reliable enough to like show up. But it is what it is. We still love Justin and everything that he brings to the show when he
yeah,
uh when he shows up. He's like Albert Hainsworth. He shows up when he wants to. But
exactly.
but yeah, that will do us. That will do it for us here today. I'm gonna put the socials in the on the little banner just so that's there. So you can follow us at the social medias below. Make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. This is our first under 1 hour episode in a pretty long time, which is, there's one common
Yeah.
denominator as to how we were able to accomplish that.
Hmm.
But Yeah, follow us,
Yeah,
and thank you for
we get
listening. We'll
everything
be
out.
back.
Get everything out
Yeah,
now.
yeah, and we will be back
Hmm.
next week with our top 10 OTs, and hopefully another uneventful preseason game. Uneventful preseason games are good. Like if we had to come in here and talk about something happening
Yeah,
that ruined our season, like that would be bad. So,
and
hope for another uneventful
uh,
preseason game with no injuries, and we'll see. Oh yeah, you know what? There was one other thing I wanted to discuss, real quick before we
plug it.
fully wrap up. Um, so I've been hearing rumors that the Redskins might want to cut Dotson. Is that someone that you would be interested in picking
Mhm.
up?
Yes,
Yeah, I mean, I don't
absolutely.
see why not. If we could get him for
It's
cheap.
it's like a slot option. At least come into practice. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, he'd be an upgrade over like kind of because I
Hmm.
mean, like Brownlee has been kind of underwhelming. Malik Taylor just got hurt and is um, it was like a season-ending injury. Like they put him on IR. So the wide receiver room is pretty
Yeah,
thin, and like we don't. I think it sounds like Mike Williams will be ready for Week 1, but still, like he's gonna have
yeah.
to get
I
like
think you will
acclimated.
be.
So I think just having another body in the receiver room
He's
while we
gonna
wait
have
for
to.
that
Yeah,
big
get right, right.
acquisition. I wouldn't mind picking up
Hmm.
Jahan Dotson for cheap, so that might be something to look out for. But yeah, that's it. And that made
Yeah,
us
yeah.
go. That made us go a little over. That made us go a little over an hour. But who
Yeah,
gives a shit?
no,
We will.
definitely because yeah, but yeah, who cares? But yeah, because you know how I liked him out of Penn State, and I thought
Oh yeah, yeah. And I was surprised he even went as high as he did.
he
And
showed a lot of potential, and I think he could get it out of, or Aaron Rodgers could get it out of him.
yeah, yeah, because he even yeah, I think Rodgers could definitely get more out of him than the Commanders have, and also the fact that our wide receiver room is just thin right now. And I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm even surprised he went as high as he did in that draft. Like,
Hmm.
because we were talking about like, oh, that could be like a good second round target, and like then they took him like 14th overall, and
And
now
did
now they want to just give up on him.
yeah they took him. Yeah.
Like, I think he can play though. Like, I don't think he's
Hmm.
bad.
Yeah. He might. He
So
just might. I think he just needs a new change of scenery. Yeah, that's what I think it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's probably
I
all
don't
it
think he's
is.
bad either.
Yeah. Anyway, that's gonna do it. Follow us, subscribe,
Yeah.
and we'll see you next week. Unlock the swag, Tony Montana. Peace.